This evening, Ministry of Education, no return of textbooks, no because we care cash grant. Elderly woman was found slain in her Mon Repos home. A Kitty man charged for murder after setting a couple ablaze at PURUNI landing. In the region, Ecuador, government indigenous leaders reached deal to end protests, and internationally, 8 reported killed at protests against military rule in Sudan. Welcome to another broadcast of Channel 2 Headline News Updates. I am Baby Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. Parents of students who have not returned the textbooks loaned to them by the Ministry of Education for the September 2021 to July 2022 academic year will not be eligible for the Because We Care cash grant. This information was disseminated in a memorandum issued to the Regional Education Officer and the Principal Education Officer by the Chief Education Officer. The memo further stated that head teachers are required to inform parents or guardians that all textbooks must be returned on or before Thursday, July 7, 2022. Head teachers are also required to advise parents and guardians that in instances where loan textbooks are lost or damaged, parents will be given the option to buy or replace those textbooks. Head teachers should notify all parents and guardians that a fee of $5,000 will be charged for each textbook lost or destroyed. This fee will apply to those parents who cannot replace the lost or destroyed textbooks. The head teachers are also to inform parents and guardians that the schools will issue a slip stating that all textbooks have been returned, submitted to the Department of Education on or before July 14, 2022, a list of names of students as per school and levels who have failed to return or pay for textbooks lost or destroyed. The annual cash grant will commence distribution in July. Last year, the government began distributing all textbooks required for the primary school children, stating this academic year, all secondary school students across the country will also receive those textbooks. Police are looking into the stabbing murder of an elderly woman who was discovered by neighbors who observed that she wasn't going about her daily routine, as the source explains.
Ranks of the Ghana Police Force are investigating the stabbing deaths of an 86-year-old woman at Mon Repos after her body was discovered inside her home on Thursday, June 30th. The dead woman has been identified as Agnes Dillon of 32 Mon Repos, Northeast Coast, Narara. Dillon, who lived alone, was last seen washing clothes on Tuesday around 5 p.m. According to reports, Dillon would typically be up and about quite early in the morning, but on Thursday, she didn't leave her house. Her landlord called her phone several times, but she didn't answer. As the hours passed, the landlord became concerned and decided to call a neighbor for assistance in attempting to pry open her window to check on the woman. Upon investigation, the male neighbor discovered that the main door was locked from the inside. He called out the elderly woman, but the calls went unanswered. The man opened the bedroom window and climbed through. There he discovered Dillon lying motionlessly on the bed in a pool of blood. The neighbor immediately informed the Bedford-Waxing police station. When police arrived, they found the woman with many knife wounds to her left and right upper chest, as well as cuts to her right hand and right side of her face. She was pronounced deceased at the scene. When the crime scene was investigated, a shoe print was discovered close to a window on the northern side of the bedroom. A brown-handled knife with blood stains was also found next to the window. Dillon's body was transported to the Memorial Gardens funeral parlor, awaiting a postmortem examination. And police investigation is in progress. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. In a press release today, the Ghana Fire Service noted many recent instances of electrical fires in various parts of the country and urged residents to take the essential safety measures to prevent these catastrophes. The release noted some of the main contributing factors to electrical fires, which includes slack connections, overloading of circuits, malfunction of electrical appliances, inferior drop cords or circuit strips, and illegal connections. The Ghana Fire Service issued a list of safety tips to avoid electrical fires, some of which included persons should desist from using illegal connections for electricity, always use certified electricians to conduct and certify electrical works, desist from overloading the electrical system, Electrical fires are especially dangerous because they can occur at any time if enough care and attention are not exercised towards electrical outlets and appliances. Therefore, citizens are urged to inform Guyana Power and Light immediately if any external faulty electrical problems occur. Ensure all electrical cables are placed in a conduit or PVC pipe. Ensure high-quality circuit strips and wiring, and avoid prolonged use of electrical appliances, and remember to shut off and disconnect after use. When plugging in items, persons should be careful not to overload a single circuit. Use extension cords temporarily. Install additional electrical outlets for permanent use. Persons should also avoid running electrical cords beneath carpets and away from the source of heat and water. When young children are present, cover unused outlets with safety plugs or install outlets with spring latch covers. Ensure you unplug one appliance before plugging in another. As it relates to electrical appliances, buy appliances approved by the Guyana National Bureau of Standards, follow manufacturer's instructions, disconnect small appliances like microwave and toasters before cleaning them or when not in use, and have defective appliances checked only by a professional. It is important to note that older buildings can have inadequate wiring. This can be a fire hazard and an electrical hazard. Persons must be cognizant of inadequate electrical wiring and contact a certified electrician if they notice the lights dim when they use certain appliances or if small appliances such as toasters or irons are slow to heat. For further information, visit the Guyana Fire and Rescue Service Facebook page. Stick around after the break. Kitty Man charged for setting a couple ablaze at PURUNI landing, and Minister of Public Works applauds citizens for removing impediments on the nation's highway. But before that, here's the bridge retraction schedule.
Traveling soon? Then come into John Lewis Styles on Waterloo Street and let's help you choose the right set of luggage. You can choose to buy 3-piece luggage sets, or separate pieces, but the sets are always a better deal. Either available in soft poly, or ABS hard side material, with 4-wheeled spinners, and in many colors too. Also available are carry-on luggage, computer bags, duffel bags, backpacks, travel pillows, blankets and lots more to make your trip enjoyable. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
Guyanese, now is our time. The most important challenge for us is to have good governance with a governing administration that is genuinely inclusive and rejects segregation and discrimination. Let us maximize the enormous oil patrimony now for our people in every way possible to significantly uplift the quality of life and infrastructure in Guyana. It is not the time to use our bonanza of oil resources as a catalyst to primarily quibble about climate change or better oil deals than other countries have. Guyanese oil resources per capita exceeds all other countries. Together, we must use this enormous tide of our oil resources to enrich, elevate, and empower Guyanese by continuously focusing on improving our government regulations, systems, and policies to accelerate benefits to our people across the 10 regions of Guyana. A message from Nigel Hines.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
They say that when it hits you, it hits you. A feeling so strong that it's impossible not to give in to a juicy piece of KFC. To feel elevated by the aroma and to free fall into its exciting flavor. Some call it love, attraction, desire. We call it KFC. Ignite your senses with KFC.
Welcome back. Following weeks of requests for residents to voluntarily remove encumbrances along the roadways and government reserves, the Ministry of Public Works on Monday began eradication efforts across the country. The elimination of obstruction on public property will safeguard people going about their daily businesses, advance road safety, and enhance traffic flow, particularly in emergencies. The campaign complies with the Section 29 of the Road Act. The minister noted that many Guyanese have been compliant and have been reaching out to the ministry, inquiring about the ministry's derelict site to transport their derelict vehicles. Persons are also seeking help to remove their items. The ministry's derelict dump site is located in Luluni. Persons can access the site from Kurukururu, Suzdike Linden Highway entrance. The dump site is manned by the ministry and consists of a compactor that crushes the compact derelict items. When compacted, the items will be stored. Meanwhile, the minister is urging citizens to comply with the call. The ministry will not disrupt construction works, business places, or residents once a temporary construction permit is issued. A ministerial team is currently on a removal campaign along the East Coast corridor. We reported 3 weeks ago on a jilted lover setting fire to his ex-lover and her new partner. The culprit was hauled before the court to account for his action, which resulted in one of the victims' death. Esther Sobers has more details.
Christian Joseph of Kitty, Georgia, appeared at the Bartica Magistrate Court this week to answer the charge of murder after he set a couple ablaze at PURUNI land in Mazaruni River on June 5, 2022. Joseph appeared before Magistrate Christopher Lambert and was not required to plead to indictable accusation that he caused the death of 22-year-old Sheldon Harry of Porica, East Bank, Essequibo. The court heard that on the day in question, Joseph argued with a Venezuelan woman, 30-year-old Gracie Mota, who had earlier rejected him. He became enraged and began verbally and physically assaulting the woman. The woman reportedly left her camp and went over to Harry's camp in an attempt to flee from him. Joseph followed her. He threatened and verbally assaulted her, accusing her of leaving him with a broken heart. Harry, who is acquainted with Joseph, attempted to calm him. The man left the camp and returned with a cutlass, charging for the woman. Persons intervened and the suspect left. However, this time he returned, running towards the camp with a bucket suspected to have contained gasoline and a stick that was on fire. Harry, upon seeing this, tried to calm Joseph down, but to no avail. Joseph subsequently poured the gasoline on Harry and Gracie, but after realizing that Harry received severe burns on his entire body, he ran away from the scene. Harry was air dashed to the Georgian Public Hospital Corporation and the woman was transported by speedboat. Harry suffered second and third degree burns to about 80% of his body and died on June 20th while receiving treatment. Joseph was arrested on June 23rd at PURUNI. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. Don't go away after the break. 8 reported killed at protests against military rule in Sudan, and Russian missile attacks killed 19 in Odisha, Ukrainian officials.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Sooner or later you will have another power failure. Are you prepared for the next blackout? Some essential equipment such as security cameras, lights, internet, gate motors, and water pumps may stop working. How can you prevent the next blackout? InverterTech has an affordable solution for you. A strong UPS system which uses the latest inverter and solar battery technology to prevent blackout. We smartly calculate your average power demand so you don't spend more than you need to. Call 223-2233 for more information.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brick Dam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Traveling soon? Then come into John Lewis Styles on Waterloo Street and let's help you choose the right set of luggage. You can choose to buy 3-piece luggage sets or separate pieces, but the sets are always a better deal. Either available in soft poly or ABS hard side material with 4-wheeled spinners and in many colors too. Also available are carry-on luggage, computer bags, duffel bags, backpacks, travel pillows, blankets and lots more to make your trip enjoyable. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
Guyanese, now is our time. The most important challenge for us is to have good governance with a governing administration that is genuinely inclusive and rejects segregation and discrimination. Let us maximize the enormous oil patrimony now for our people in every way possible to significantly uplift the quality of life and infrastructure in Guyana. It is not the time to use our bonanza of oil resources as a catalyst to primarily quibble about climate change or better oil deals than other countries have. Guyanese oil resources per capita exceeds all other countries. Together, we must use this enormous tide of our oil resources to enrich, elevate, and empower Guyanese by continuously focusing on improving our government regulations, systems, and policies to accelerate benefits to our people across the 10 regions of Guyana. A message from Nigel Hines.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at news in the region and around the world. Ecuador's indigenous leaders and the government have signed a deal to cut fuel prices, ending more than 2 weeks of protests against rising cost of living. But the respite may only be temporary, Al Jazeera's Latin American editor Lucia Newman reports.
After 7 deaths and hundreds of injured demonstrators and security forces, one of Ecuador's longest and most conflictive strikes has ended. President Guillermo Lasso tweeted, "We have reached the supreme value that we all aspire to, peace in our country. Now together we will work towards turning this peace into progress, well-being, and opportunities for all." 18 days of nationwide roadblocks placed by indigenous strikers and fierce clashes between riot police and demonstrators have cost Ecuador an estimated $500 million. Ecuador's powerful confederation of indigenous nations, which is made up mainly of farming communities, had demanded sharp cuts in fuel prices, food and fertilizers.
The president should not have waited for people to die or be injured or lose their eyes before listening to our demands.
President Guillermo Lasso, a conservative banker, finally caved in to pressure to reduce petrol and diesel, but only by 15 cents a gallon, far less than what the strikers had originally demanded. Many were angry that their leaders had accepted the deal. Still, the government did agree not to go ahead with plans to expand oil and mining in indigenous territories, as well as to improve education and health services for people like Mercedes Tamayo. She says she can barely walk and has been waiting for 4 months for a doctor to see her because she can't afford private health care.
My father used to come here to fight for land reform. May he rest in peace. This president has never governed for the poor, just like his predecessor.
In the end, both sides had to make concessions. But as the strikers left the capital to return to their communities, their leaders warned that it might only be temporary. They say that they've given the government 90 days to prove that they will follow through on their commitments. Lucia Newman, Al Jazeera, Quito, Ecuador.
Internationally, at least 8 protesters have been killed in Sudan during demonstrations against military rule. Security forces fired tear gas and water cannons as they tried to disperse crowds of thousands in the capital, Khartoum. Al Jazeera's Hibab Morgan reports.
Another wave of mass protests in the Sudanese capital, Khartoum. On Thursday, thousands took to the streets to express their anger against the military, which took over power last year.
When we take to the streets every day and people die every day, it's not for nothing. It's for change. It's for a civilian government, a democratic government that protects the rights of people. It is our right to protest. The military will not rule us. This country is supposed to be a civilian democratic country.
Protesters are also out against the former ruling party led by President Omar al-Bashir, who was ousted by the military in April 2019. Thursday marked 33 years since the coup that he staged to grab power. His party has been disbanded after his overthrow, but protesters say the loyalists are still in charge.
The military in power now are members of Bashir's Security Committee. All they did was replace the figures, but the former ruling party are still in key positions in government institutions. Nothing has changed, and that's why we're out protesting. We're out to overthrow the Security Committee and the former ruling party.
Security forces used tear gas and live ammunition to disperse protesters. Several were killed and hundreds injured. More than 100 people have died in anti-military demonstrations. The military has repeatedly stated it will not step down unless elections are held or a political consensus is reached. Reaching a political consensus has so far proven to be difficult. Talks between political parties, facilitated by the United Nations, African Union, and the regional IGAD, were boycotted by pro-democracy groups and later suspended, and no new date has been set for its resumption. Political parties have refused to join the talks, saying they want to end the military takeover and not enter into a power-sharing agreement.
A political solution, if it achieves the aims of the street, then we can be a part of it. The political process in its current form is something we put objective conditions on. If they're not met, we can't go forward. The most important condition is the aim of the political process. If it's ending the military takeover, we can talk about the ways. Otherwise, we can't go ahead.
But the military continues to hold on to power, provoking chaos on the streets, and hopes for a transition to democracy fades further. Hiba Morgan, Al Jazeera, Khartoum.
And finally, at least 19 people have been killed and dozens wounded when Russian missiles hit residential buildings near Ukrainian port city of Odessa. Al Jazeera's Alan Fisher reports.
The attack came in the early hours of the morning. Many people were in bed. It was quick. It was devastating. A 9-story building partially destroyed. The rockets fired from Russian aircraft, according to local authorities. Pictures from the scene in Odessa were quickly uploaded to social media. So many people have taken shelter from possible attacks in the basement of buildings, but to carefully move the debris, trying to find one more person to save. In the Ukrainian parliament, they held a moment of silence for those killed in the attack, which also hit a local recreation centre.
In order for Ukrainian mournings not to start so tragically as it started today with missile strikes at Odessa and Odessa region, today's mourning started with a lot of victims. We want mournings of Ukrainians to become as peaceful as the mournings of each European capital in the 21st century.
The attack came just hours after Russian President Vladimir Putin insisted his forces do not target civilian areas.
Our army does not attack any civilian infrastructure. We have every capability of knowing what is situated and where.
Ukrainian generals say the number of Russian missile attacks has more than doubled in the past 2 weeks, and they believe they are using more Soviet-era missiles, which are much less accurate, and that means more civilian areas may be hit, whether they are targeted or not. Alan Fisher, Al Jazeera, Kyiv.
And that is it for today's regional and international news. Here now is your 3-day weather forecast. And that is all for this edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. We'll be back on Tuesday at 7 p.m. with another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other and have a great weekend.